You can feel it before you can describe it. That sluggish, heavy-brained feeling. Like someone dimmed the lights in your head. You lose track of thoughts mid-sentence, reach for a word and it's gone. Or reread the same paragraph 3 times and still can't absorb it. That's brain fog. And no, it's not just aging, it's not just stress, it's not just poor sleep. Brain fog is a physiological signal. Your brain is underpowered and it's asking for support. Here's what the research shows. Your brain makes up just about 2% of your body weight, but consumes more than 20% of your energy. That energy doesn't come from willpower or motivation. It comes from chemistry. And food is the primary input. Certain nutrients don't just feed your brain, they literally modulate neurotransmitters, fuel mitochondrial energy production, reduce neuroinflammation, and promote neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to adapt, learn, and stay sharp. And here's the kicker. Many of the most powerful brain-boosting foods are things you're probably not eating often or not eating in the right combinations or timing. So in this video, we're going to break down the 10 most powerful brain foods and, more importantly, why they work. We'll look at what's happening in your neurons, how certain compounds increase blood flow to your prefrontal cortex, how omega-3s help you regenerate synapses, and how specific polyphenols can actually reverse fatigue at the cellular level. But this isn't just about theory. Every food I'll cover comes with a practical tool, a way to implement it into your daily life in a way that supports clarity, energy, and long-term brain health. Because the truth is, brain fog isn't something you have to live with. And energy isn't just about sleep or caffeine. It's biochemical, it's behavioral. And with the right inputs, it's highly changeable. So let's dive in. We'll cover 6 key insights drawn from neuroscience and nutrition research that will help you rebuild your energy, sharpen your thinking, and reclaim your brain's full potential. Let's start with a fat that most people have heard of, but very few are actually getting enough of in the right form: DHA, or docosahexaenoic acid. DHA is an omega-3 fatty acid, and it's not just fuel, it's structure. Around 30 to 40% of the fat in your brain's gray matter is made of DHA. Your neurons literally build themselves using this molecule. Think of it like the wiring insulation in your brain's electrical system. It helps signals travel faster, cleaner, and more efficiently. Now, what happens when your brain doesn't have enough DHA? Signal transmission slows down, inflammation creeps up, synapses become less fluid and responsive, and that's when you start to feel it. Slower thinking, fuzzier memory, poor focus, and that nagging sense of mental fatigue that doesn't go away after a nap or a coffee. Here's what the research shows. In a 2016 double-blind, placebo-controlled study published in Nutrients, adults with low dietary intake of DHA who were given a DHA supplement for 6 months saw significant improvements in reaction time, memory recall, and sustained attention compared to placebo. Another study in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that older adults with higher DHA levels had better white matter integrity. Basically, their brain networks were holding up better under stress. And it's not just about long-term protection. DHA also reduces neuroinflammation, a major driver of brain fog, and supports the health of mitochondria, the tiny energy generators inside your brain cells. But here's the part most people miss. Not all omega-3s are equal. ALA, found in flax, chia, and walnuts, is a plant-based omega-3, and while it's healthy, only about 5% gets converted into DHA in the body. To really nourish your brain, you need preformed DHA, the kind found in fatty fish like salmon, sardines, anchovies, and mackerel. If you're plant-based, algae oil is your go-to. It contains preformed DHA and EPA, and studies show it can raise blood DHA levels just as effectively as fish oil. Now let's get practical. Here's a simple tool to apply: the brain fat protocol. Aim for 2 to 3 servings of oily fish per week, each serving around 3 to 4 ounces. If supplementing, look for 500 to 1,000 milligrams of DHA per day, ideally paired with EPA. Take your omega-3 with a meal that contains fat. This significantly improves absorption. If you're plant-based, algae oil, minimum 300 milligrams DHA/day, is a clean, effective alternative. Want to go a step further? Add turmeric or black pepper to your meals. These spices reduce oxidation of DHA in the body and help it stay active longer. You might be wondering, how fast can you feel the difference? In some cases, people report improved mental clarity and mood within 2 to 3 weeks of consistent intake. But the real magic happens with consistency. Your brain is constantly remodeling. Give it the raw materials and it will rebuild itself, cell by cell. One final thought here. If your brain fog has felt persistent or confusing, it's not necessarily a sign of something broken. It might just be undernourished. Getting enough of the right fats is one of the simplest, most powerful ways to restore clarity and vitality. So next time you're meal prepping or shopping, ask yourself, where's the DHA coming from this week? Because if you're feeding your brain what it's truly made of, you're not just fighting brain fog. You're giving your mind the architecture to thrive. Have you ever noticed how your brain feels sharper after a bowl of fresh berries? That clarity isn't just in your head, it's chemical. And the mechanism behind it is one of the most exciting discoveries in cognitive neuroscience. BDNF, brain-dedicated neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF like fertilizer for your neurons. It helps brain cells grow, form new connections, and repair old ones. It's essential for learning, memory, and neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to adapt and stay sharp. Now here's the problem. Chronic stress, poor sleep, aging, and a sedentary lifestyle all reduce BDNF. The problem is there's a primary input to both, but there's a secondary input that's destroying the critical process. And it's the first print and it's the secondary lifestyle all reduce BDNF. Now here's the problem. Chronic stress, poor sleep, aging, and a sedentary lifestyle all reduce BDNF. And low BDNF is one of the most consistent biological signatures of brain fog and mental fatigue. But here's the good news. You can stimulate BDNF naturally. And one of the most powerful dietary triggers is a specific class of antioxidants found in berries called anthocyanins. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, especially the deeply pigmented kinds, are loaded with these compounds. And they don't just float around doing general antioxidant work. Anthocyanins cross the blood-brain barrier, directly influencing brain cells and supporting the pathways that increase BDNF. A study published in Annals of Neurology tracked over 16,000 participants for more than 20 years. Those who consumed more anthocyanin-rich berries had slower rates of cognitive decline, equivalent to delaying brain aging by 2.5 years. Another randomized trial in nutrients found that adults who consumed wild blueberry powder daily for 12 weeks had significantly better working memory and reduced mental fatigue. So why aren't we all doing this? Partly because most people eat berries once in a while, not consistently. And partly because timing and pairing matter. Here's a simple protocol to turn berries into a daily brain-enhancing habit, the berry boost routine. Eat 1/2 to 1 cup of berries daily, fresh or frozen, ideally in the morning or early afternoon. This timing syncs with your brain's natural BDNF rhythms, which peak earlier in the day. Pair your berries with healthy fat or protein, like Greek yogurt, nuts, or a boiled egg. This helps stabilize blood sugar and improves nutrient absorption. And the third thing that helps stabilize blood sugar and improve nutrient absorption, rotate your berries. Wild blueberries, blackberries, and dark cherries are especially potent. Look for variety to keep your polyphenol intake broad. Want an easy combo? Try this. Morning brain bowl. 3/4 cup wild blueberries, a scoop of plain yogurt, a sprinkle of walnuts, and a dusting of cinnamon. Balanced, brain nourishing, and easy to prep in 2 minutes. Another trick, Avoid pairing berries with high sugar processed foods. That negates many of the neuroprotective effects. Anthocyanins are most effective when blood glucose is stable, not spiking. You can even freeze berries in small snack bags so you always have a portion on hand. No excuses. Now, if this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. Everything we share here is grounded in science, designed to help you take control of your biology and upgrade your daily mental performance, one habit at a time, because that's the point. This isn't about adding 10 exotic things to your diet. It's about understanding why certain foods work and learning to use them with intention. Berries aren't just a healthy snack. They're a nootropic, a natural brain enhancer with decades of research behind them. And if you've been feeling mentally sluggish, forgetful, or unmotivated, this is one of the easiest first wins. Add them in, stay consistent for 2 weeks, and observe the shift. Your brain is responsive. It wants to regenerate. It just needs the right signals. Let's move to the next one, a nutrient that doesn't get nearly enough attention, but plays a central role in memory and attention: choline. Think about the last time you walked into a room and forgot why you were there, or couldn't recall someone's name even though you just met them. Moments like these aren't just lapses, they're signals, and one of the most overlooked contributors is a nutrient called choline. Choline is essential for making acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter deeply involved in memory, attention, and mental processing speed. Every time you form a memory, focus on a task, or try to stay mentally engaged, you're using acetylcholine. And here's the kicker: your brain can't make it without a steady supply of choline. Now, here's where it gets interesting and concerning. So, according to data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, NHANEs, over 90% of adults don't meet the recommended daily intake of choline. That includes young adults, middle-aged adults, and older adults alike. Low choline doesn't just affect memory. It disrupts the very structure of your brain cells. Choline is also a building block for phosphatidylcholine, a key component of neuronal membranes, the outer shell of every brain cell. Without enough of it, neurons lose their flexibility and efficiency. Signal transmission slows, brain fog creeps in. A 2011 study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults with the highest choline intake scored significantly better on memory and verbal learning tests than those with low intake. Another trial in nutrients found that choline supplementation improved reaction time and focus in college students during high cognitive demand. So how do you get more choline? Most people associate it with eggs, and they're right. One egg yolk has about 125 milligrams of choline, but that's only one piece of the puzzle. Here's a practical protocol to ensure your brain gets what it needs. The choline memory protocol. Aim for 425 milligrams of choline daily for women, 550 milligrams for men. Food sources rich in choline include egg yolks. One yolk equals 125 milligrams. Beef liver, the highest source, one slice equals over 300 milligrams. Chicken, turkey, and salmon, moderate sources. Brussels sprouts and broccoli, plant-based options, though lower in total choline, lives. And then there's more later, the choline. And then some fascinating studies. And this is where nearly all the choline lives in these food sources. Brussels sprouts and broccoli. Don't discard egg yolks or mushrooms. Brussels sprouts and broccoli. Don't discard egg yolks or mushrooms. That's much more evident in fish. Consider a choline supplement like alpha GPC or citicoline only if you have restricted diets or cognitive concerns. But always discuss this with a healthcare provider first. If you're plant-based, it's absolutely possible to meet your needs, but you'll need to be more strategic. A cup of cooked broccoli gives you about 60 B vitamins. It adds up, but only if you're deliberate. One more thing, choline works best when paired with B vitamins, especially B6, B12, and folate. These nutrients support methylation, a key process in how your brain uses and recycles choline. So think of leafy greens, legumes, and whole grains as important partners in the equation. Here's a simple breakfast combo to lock it in. 2 scrambled eggs, plus sautéed spinach, plus a slice of whole grain toast. Balanced choline, B vitamins, fiber, clean fuel. If memory lapses have been bothering you, or if you've noticed it takes longer to learn or recall things, this is a low-hanging fruit. Most people never connect those symptoms to nutrition, but choline might be the missing link. And when you give your brain the raw material it needs to form acetylcholine, it doesn't take long to feel the shift. Sharper recall, better focus, and less of that mental slowness that holds you back. Now, we're going even deeper, literally. We'll talk about the mitochondria inside your brain cells and how certain polyphenols can restore energy at the cellular level and crush mental fatigue. Mental fatigue isn't just a feeling, it's a metabolic reality. When your brain says, "I'm tired," it's often because the mitochondria inside your neurons aren't producing enough energy. Mitochondria are the power plants of your brain cells. They turn oxygen and nutrients into ATP, your brain's energy currency. And just like a city shuts down when the grid fails, your brain slows down when mitochondria get overworked, underfed, or damaged. Now here's the breakthrough. Certain foods contain polyphenols that don't just act as antioxidants, they directly improve mitochondrial function. They help your brain's energy factories run more efficiently, especially under stress. Let's look at 3 of the most powerful sources. Pomegranate. This fruit contains a polyphenol called punicalagin, which supports mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria. A 2019 study in Nature Metabolism showed that when pomegranate extract was metabolized by gut microbes, it produced urolithin A, a compound that enhanced mitochondrial function and improved muscle and brain endurance in aging models. Cacao, real cacao, not sugary chocolate, is rich in flavonols, which increase cerebral blood flow and protect neurons from oxidative stress. A double-blind study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that high flavonol cacao improved attention and working memory in healthy adults, especially during mentally demanding tasks. Packed with a polyphenol called EGCG, green tea improves mitochondrial efficiency and reduces neuroinflammation. A randomized controlled trial in psychopharmacology showed that green tea extract enhanced connectivity between the frontal and parietal regions of the brain, areas tied to memory and decision-making. So what's happening here? These polyphenols don't give you energy like caffeine does. They optimize your cells so that your brain can produce more energy naturally from the inside out. It's cleaner, more sustainable. And unlike stimulants, it doesn't come with a crash. Here's how to bring these into your daily routine. The polyphenol power protocol. Pomegranate. Half to 1 cup of fresh areoles or 8 O's of 100% pomegranate juice in the morning. Avoid sugar-mad versions, look for pure juice. Cacao. Use 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw cacao powder in a smoothie, yogurt bowl, or hot drink. Look for unsweetened, organic cacao, not Dutch processed cocoa. Green tea, 1 to 2 cups daily, ideally between meals. For maximum effect, steep it for 3 to 5 minutes and avoid dairy in the same sitting. Dairy can inhibit the absorption of catechins. Want a bonus hack? Pair polyphenols with healthy fats like walnuts or avocado to increase absorption. And spread them out over the day. Your mitochondria need consistent support, not just a morning hit. Now, if this kind of science-backed insight is helping you, take a moment to subscribe. That's how we keep building this channel, with grounded practical strategies to help you take full control of your health and cognitive performance. Remember, your brain isn't wired to run on fumes. And mental fatigue isn't just about being busy, it's often about being underpowered at the cellular level. Support your mitochondria and everything shifts. Energy, mood, focus, resilience. You don't need to push harder, you need to fuel smarter. Now, we'll look at magnesium-rich foods and how they calm the brain, restore focus, and help regulate the stress response that contributes to brain fog. You know that wired but tired feeling? Like your body's tense, your mind's scattered, and you can't shut down and turn on the TV? Well, you may be in the same boat. Like I said, before summer of 2020 and all through 2021, everything I've said, 4, 5, 6, 8, that's often a sign of low magnesium. Magnesium is one of the most essential minerals for brain function, yet it's also one of the most commonly deficient. Data from the World Health Organization shows that over 60% of adults don't get enough magnesium through food. That number climbs with age, stress, certain medications, and poor digestion. Why does this matter? Because magnesium is a natural calm down switch for your brain. It helps regulate NMDA receptors, which control how neurons fire. When you're low in magnesium, those receptors become overstimulated, leading to anxiety, poor concentration, and brain fog. Magnesium also plays a critical role in the GABA system, your brain's main inhibitory network. GABA calms things down. It's what allows you to focus, sleep, and recover from stress. Without enough magnesium, GABA doesn't function well, so your brain stays stuck in a high-level mode, even when you're safe. And it gets deeper. Magnesium is involved in mitochondrial energy production and synaptic plasticity, the ability of your brain cells to adapt, strengthen, and communicate efficiently. So if you've been feeling mentally scattered, hyperreactive, or emotionally drained, magnesium might be one of the missing pieces. Here's what the science shows. A 2018 study in Nutrients found that magnesium supplementation improved working memory, attention, and stress resilience in adults with low baseline magnesium. Another trial published in PLOS One showed that magnesium combined with vitamin B6 had a greater impact on reducing brain fog and improving mental clarity than magnesium alone. Now, not all forms of magnesium are equally effective. Magnesium oxide, for example, has poor bioavailability, but magnesium glycinate, taurate, or threonate are more easily absorbed and better for cognitive support. Let's make this practical. The Magnesium Focus Protocol aims for 320 to 420 mgs of magnesium per day from food and supplements combined. Top magnesium-rich foods include pumpkin seeds, 1 Oz equals tilde 150 milligrams. Spinach, 1 cup cooked equals tilde 150 milligrams. Almonds, 1 Oz equals tilde 80 milligrams. For a deeper calming effect, pair your magnesium intake with vitamin B6 found in chickpeas, tuna, and bananas. Here's a sample combo. Spinach sauteed in olive oil plus a handful of pumpkin seeds plus a piece of 85% dark chocolate. It's a brain-calming, focus-boosting snack that hits multiple systems at once. If you're supplementing, do it in the evening. Magnesium supports your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode, and may improve sleep quality, which in turn sharpens next day focus. Another tip, avoid overdoing caffeine if you're magnesium deficient. Stimulants burn through magnesium faster and can intensify anxiety or fog when levels are low. Now, why does this all matter? Because chronic stress, poor diet, and aging all drain magnesium. And when it runs low, your brain doesn't fall apart, it just stops firing smoothly. You can feel it, the tension, the forgetfulness, the lack of focus. But the fix isn't dramatic, it's consistent. Add a few magnesium-rich foods daily. Check your supplement form. Support the system that calms your mind and restores your energy, not through force, but through balance. Let's explore a brain tool most people ignore: fermented foods. These don't just help your gut, They send biochemical signals that stabilize your mood, sharpen focus, and even influence memory through the gut-brain axis. Let's shift gears. Because when most people think about brain fog, they look to the brain itself, caffeine, focus hacks, maybe a nootropic or two. But some of the most powerful brain chemistry changes, they actually start in your gut. Here's what we now know. The gut and the brain are in constant communication. That's not a metaphor. It's a literal physical pathway called the gut-brain axis, and it's primarily run through the vagus nerve. Signals travel both ways. What happens in your digestive tract can shape how you think, feel, and focus. And one of the most profound ways to influence that axis is with fermented foods. Foods like kefir, yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, and tempeh are rich in beneficial microbes, live bacteria that support a healthier, more diverse gut microbiome. And these microbes don't just help with digestion. They produce neurotransmitters, modulate inflammation, and help regulate the stress response. For example, some strains of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium produce GABA, the calming neurotransmitter we talked about earlier. Others influence serotonin, the mood regulator. In fact, about 90% of your body's serotonin is produced in the gut. When your microbiome is thriving, your brain tends to be sharper, calmer, and more emotionally stable. But when the gut is out of balance, too few good bacteria or too many inflammatory microbes, you often feel it as brain fog, low mood, poor memory, or chronic fatigue. And the research is compelling. A 2020 review in Frontiers in Neuroscience found that consuming fermented foods was associated with reduced cognitive fatigue, better emotional regulation, and improved working memory. And the research is compelling that in both optimistic and hopeful demagogues, another study published in Psychiatry Research showed that fermented food consumption was linked to lower levels of social anxiety, especially in people with higher baseline neuroticism. A clear example of gut influencing brain. Now, a lot of people ask, should I take a probiotic supplement? You can, but here's the thing. Supplements usually contain just a handful of strains. Fermented foods, on the other hand, offer a broad, naturally occurring diversity of microbes, plus beneficial byproducts like short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs, which also support brain health. Let's turn this into a habit. The gut-brain fermentation protocol. Eat 1 to 2 servings of fermented foods daily. Examples: half cup plain kefir or yogurt. Look for live cultures. On the label, 1/4 cup kimchi or sauerkraut, raw, not pasteurized. 1 tablespoon miso, in warm, not boiling. Water, 3 to 4 slices of tempeh sauteed in olive oil. Rotate sources throughout the week to keep microbial diversity high. Pair fermented foods with prebiotic fibers, like oats, garlic, onions, leeks, and legumes, to feed the beneficial bacteria and help them stick around. Want an easy daily combo? Breakfast smoothie with kefir, banana, and a spoon of chia seeds. Or a rice bowl with sauteed tempeh, garlic, and veggies, topped with raw sauerkraut. Simple. Powerful. Neurochemical food. Here's a tip: start slow. If you're new to fermented foods, introduce them gradually, maybe once a day, then increase as your gut adapts. And avoid sugary or artificially flavored versions. Those cancel out the benefits. The real takeaway here is this: your gut isn't just about digestion. It's a second brain, and it has a real-time impact on your focus, memory, mood, and mental energy. By feeding it the right signals via fermented, fiber-rich whole foods, you can literally tune your brain from the bottom up. That wraps our 6 core insights. Now, we'll tie everything together, recap the science-backed tools, and offer one small challenge you can try today to start feeling the difference. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Brain fog isn't a character flaw. It's not laziness, and it's not something you're just supposed to accept as you get older. It's often your brain's way of asking for better fuel, more support, and less chaos in the system. What this really means is you're not broken. You're under-resourced. The good news? That's fixable. And food is one of the most powerful, underused levers for change. Okay, let's recap what we covered today. You learned how DHA, the structural fat in your neurons, powers signal clarity and reduces brain inflammation, and how fatty fish or algae oil can restore it. You saw how berries, through their flavonoids, boost BDNF and help your brain grow new connections, especially when eaten consistently and timed right. You learned about choline, the building block of acetylcholine, and how eggs, liver, and leafy greens support memory, attention, and learning. You explored the role of polyphenols in recharging your brain's mitochondria, fighting fatigue from the inside out, with help from cacao, green tea, and pomegranate. You saw how magnesium-rich foods restore calm and focus by regulating GABA and synaptic activity, especially when paired with B vitamins. And you unlocked how fermented foods influence the gut-brain axis, shaping your neurotransmitters, mental resilience, and emotional balance through microbial signals. None of these tools is extreme. None of them require some exotic powder or subscription. They're rooted in nature and backed by real neuroscience. But here's the key. Information alone doesn't create transformation. Application does. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these tools, just one. Maybe it's adding wild blueberries to your breakfast, or bringing back egg yolks, or drinking green tea in the afternoon instead of reaching for a second coffee. Start small, stay consistent, observe the shift. Because the real power of this approach isn't just sharper memory or better focus, though you'll absolutely feel that. It's in reclaiming agency, knowing that you can support your brain with what you put on your plate, that you're not at the mercy of low energy, scattered thoughts, or a foggy head. You now have a blueprint, 6 levers backed by research, grounded in biology, and easy to implement. And when you stack them over time, the effects aren't just additive, they're multiplicative. Clearer thinking leads to better choices. Better choices lead to better days. And better days shape a better life. So try something today. And when you do, let us know in the comments what you noticed or what change you're committing to. That's how we build a smarter, stronger, more resilient community together. And if you found this helpful, consider subscribing. This channel is all about translating real science into tools you can use to strengthen your mind, protect your body, and show up fully in the life you're building. Because your brain isn't just where you live, it's how you live. And when it's nourished, really nourished, everything changes.